Okay, I've been trying to make a video about this for weeks. I need to talk about things. I'm gonna take my glasses off so I don't look at myself. I've got these things that are just, they're eating me up, and they have been this whole time, and I have to get them out. I'm really hurt, and I'm really angry, and I'm really sad about a lot of things, and I always get tied up in like how I was wrong, and I did this wrong, and I did so many things wrong, and I hurt people, and I didn't talk to people, and you know, there's so many things that happened to me and happened with my friends or relationships that are, it's not a one-way street, but I still get to feel my feelings, and that doesn't, you know, two wrongs, I mean, just because I did wrong doesn't mean that I don't get to feel hurt from something else. And even if, or you know, and I always get tied up in like, well, you know, this was going on and that was going on, and I like COVID was going on and people had their own lives going on, and I moved out of all of that is true. Like I just need to get my anger out. I need to speak some truths, and I need to not apologize or keep bringing up every single side of everything when I do it, because I see them. I don't always, especially not when I'm in it. I'm not perfect. I've messed up a lot of things. I've been the villain in people's stories, but I'm not getting any better, and I'm gonna have to get myself better by myself, because my treatments, it's not there. But that's for another time, because right now I'm just going to talk about stigma and how I lost people the past 4 years, and I have lost people before that, but how I was treated differently. So, you know, I moved, so let's say, we'll try to make everything else is the same, right? Let's say, you know, just like, so it all started out like pretty much out of nowhere. All of a sudden I tell all my friends, oh, I'm in this relationship, but I'm moving to Billings, I'm quitting my job, I'm moving to town, like, because for most of them, I'm sure it was like, I don't even know you're dating anybody. And that's true. I only had 2 people meet him. And, you know, that whole relationship wasn't, I used him just to move, I know, but it was a bad idea. And like, but also I didn't see people anymore. I hadn't seen people since I was clinically, like, suicidally depressed a couple years before that. I'd already lost most of my people, because that's what happens with mental illness. You lose people. You don't know how to be around them, and they don't know what to do for you or be around you, and you lose them. And I lost almost everybody. I didn't have many friends and close people I was close to, and I still probably wasn't even what most people will consider close to other people. I know now, but when I got really, really sick like that, I was really sick like that for 6 months, 8, 9 months, and I just, yeah, I lost somebody else. And I did too with the job I took. I took a job that wasn't for me. I was by myself most of the time, and then I would go home and sit by myself. You know, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing this, I wasn't going out because I'm kind of a homebody. Or if I did go out, I'd be horrified because I kept, you know, being my ADHD self, I wasn't used to, like, interrupting people and just being annoying. So I was isolated already. But after that, I was really isolated. It was 2018. So when I met Mark, it was like, oh, somebody, I remember what it was like to be around people again. But that's the thing. So let's say, I'm going to 2 scenarios, and they both start with like all of a sudden me just bringing this huge life decision on people that most people, I would say not everyone was probably like, she's lost her mind, or why hasn't she told us what's going on? Like maybe hurt feelings because I hadn't talked to him, I hadn't told them, or just like she must be on something, or like what, you know. It was just like, that's crazy. She's doing that's this crazy shit she's doing, and then she's quitting before she's a job. Like I'm sure that people were just like, you know, mad, or just wondering, or, you know, thinking like, okay, you know. And then on top of that, people had to help me pack and everything and help me move in. It was like 32 below, but I took a month off before work. I quit my job. I didn't mean to, but I quit my job without having a job lined up. And I took all my vacation and sick pay. I had a month off before I was ready to move, and I didn't pack a single box. And I didn't realize that until like maybe a year after I moved. I mean, it was miserable. People were supposed to come help me when it was that cold out, and then I wasn't even packed. I mean, for real. I was throwing, I mean, and I didn't even realize it. And at the time, I didn't even really, I mean, I felt bad, but like I wasn't ready. But like, I've moved myself. I've moved many times, and I've done it almost exclusively, completely by myself. I think I paid people to help me a couple times, you know, like to help me pack things because I was like at an ex's and I needed to get out and I felt bad, or, you know, and I was working a lot. I was working 2 jobs. But otherwise, I mean, I've moved entire households with myself, you know. I hadn't even packed a box. So people show up and it's 32 below and I'm not even ready. I'm sure that I would have been pissed and like wondering what is going on. I mean, so there was all these things, and then like, you know, nobody had ever actually met him, and it was like literally like I think I announced it and it was like a month, you know, because I moved it up because of work stuff, because I couldn't bear to be there. But let's just say, so there's this, it's the same, like, you know, people are wondering what's going on, or it's already I'm off to a bad start with people, and just in general, it was, you know, I'm already apparently disassociating and don't realize it. I'm already like in a trauma response because I had lost pets, and I had and work stuff. I had to quit my job. I mean, I didn't have to, but I did. I couldn't handle being there for some very real traumatic grief for real reasons, but you know, but I was already like frozen, and I didn't know it. But people, yeah, okay, see, so let's say one scenario is I go there and I, you know, and I have like a mental health break, a nervous breakdown, basically, you know. I mean, first I'm kind of like, well, when in the first year, I know I sent messages that didn't make any sense. I was using dictation. I would just ramble on and on for hours. Sometimes I was saying the opposite of what I meant to say. Sometimes I didn't say anything that made sense. You know, whatever. I sounded, yeah, people thought I probably came across as super drunk. And I wasn't drinking. I had a bottle of vodka. I got drunk the night that Mark dumped me. And then when we tried to live together again after COVID started, I think like the first night when they were locking everything down in Billings, we got a bottle of vodka and we ordered Chinese food, and I had a drink and that was it. And I had a liter of vodka in the freezer for 4 months, whatever, however long I was in Billings with myself. But I came across as like I was already trying to stay on point here. So, you know, and I was sending people crazy messages, whatever, and everyone's, and you know, like I said before, everyone's got COVID stuff going on. But so I, you know, basically I move, and then all of a sudden, like 2 months, you know, I don't tell anybody that I get dumped, and basically like 2 months later I make this announcement, you know, that I got dumped, and that I, you know, yeah, and basically start to get worse and start to post things that don't make sense, and eventually I moved to Helena with a strange man that nobody's heard of, and I have this whole big story for that because I didn't know him either. Okay, and so that's what happened, right? Let's say, okay, well, let's say on the flip side, let's say instead, I moved and I got dumped and stuff, and then I found out that I had cancer, and it was possibly terminal, like a lot of cancers. You know, it was maybe, I could maybe die, maybe not, you know. And through the course of, you know, having cancer, I wasn't able to work. I, you know, eventually I told people, like, I tried asking a couple people for help, family and stuff for help, and it wasn't making any sense. I was hysterical, like, because I didn't have the money to pay my rent because I was too sick to work. And they didn't answer me, so I just literally, I'm a person who does not ask for help, and I literally, to have trauma response, just moved in with a strange man who had money and could keep, like, I don't money, but like, yeah, I could live in his house. And I would be safe, and I wouldn't be on the street, and I wouldn't have to bother anybody, and I did that because I couldn't afford like the chemo and all that stuff on top of, you know, and I have a job on top of like everything else. You know, people be like, okay, you know, I don't know that guys, but like, yeah, I get it. You know, so, and then through that course, I mean, so it's just over the course of these 4 years, you know, I was telling people, like, I just kept having all this bad luck, you know. My car, I got, first, you know, like, I got a tincture, like, I didn't have any money because I was continually sick, and I was trying to work, but I wasn't able to work on a regular basis, and I didn't have, like, steady income, and, you know, and because I was just trying to get better. I was just, when you're, you know, you have cancer, because you can't, some people, you know, depending on what it is, you can't function, you can't live a normal life like you used to. You need, you know, you can't work full time, or you can't work at all. So that was instead what happened, you know, and you know, and I, you know, at one point I was like, I'm gonna have to go back to Bismarck because I can't, you know, like, I still can't support myself. I still have cancer, and I'm not getting better. I'm not getting work. I'm kind of still just keep getting by. Like, I'm not terminal, but I don't have the energy. I can't pack. I don't have a car anymore because I got told by some trail. Like, I mean, so that I don't have a car, And even if I did, I wouldn't have the energy to pack and all that. I'm just really, really sick at this point. Like, it's not good. I'm not getting better. I'm very, very ill. And I tell everybody that in Bismarck, and I go, well, I'm coming back, and then like I get in a car accident, and I put that on Facebook because I have to until everyone coming home. And well, you know, I bet it'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I just have so many messages. Like, what can I do to help? Can I lend you some money? Can we rent you a car? Can we come get you? Can we come help you pack? Because you're really sick. Like, you could die. Like, you can't, there's no way that, I mean, you know, we want you to come back here, but like, we'll come, you know, and you can, do you have a place to stay? Like, where are you going to be living? Like, if you don't have a car, like, what can we do for you? I would have had so many people messaging me and asking me that. I would think. And I would have the people who and, you know, and then, you know, when I keep trying to like keep things better, like I kept having chemo, I kept doing radiation, kept doing whatever the doctor told me, and it would get better, and then it would get worse. And I moved to another town because I needed a different treatment, and I still wasn't getting better. The cancer wasn't going away completely, and I wasn't able to work, and I was selling things, and I had to sell things. I didn't, family things, and I was trying to sell things to people online, and then but I wasn't well enough to send them off. Like, and I made videos saying like, I am really worried I could be homeless, and like, I'm scared, and this all seems like a bad dream. I would think that I would have had more support. Even though I moved away, like, I wouldn't have lost the people that I lost completely, that got the quietest, the people that I thought were my people, you know, who I upset and I fucked over, and I was not the best friend, but they just got quiet. They disappeared. And that's still something, that's like one thing I can't get over. That somebody could be saying, like, and I know I tried talking to someone one-on-one, but then I was really, really sick. So I don't think it made sense, and I actually like never set boundaries, learn how to set boundaries, and like say like no, like, and like, and I lost like two of my best friends that way, because I got in a argument with them, and I was drinking, because when I was in hell into the first month, I was drinking a lot. That's the only way Bill could keep me dating him, is like he bought me lots of booze, an excuse. But I also was like, for the first time in my life, was like, I'm gonna say, like, they're gonna tell me like they got mad at me, or I did this wrong, and I'm gonna be like, no, I didn't. Like, or I'm gonna get angry back at them, and I lost them. You know, and I mean, said nothing. It wasn't. I know it wasn't fair, but so I lost some people for that. But I also tried to keep in touch with people, and I realized, and they just didn't want me to be in touch with them. And if the situation had been cancer, it would have been like that. It just wouldn't. None of this would have been like this. You know, like, I mean, and I would think that maybe somebody would be like, hey, would you like a visit? Can we come help you? Can I stay with you? You know, come stay with you for a couple days? Maybe like Christmas, or you want to come back? I mean, like, what can we do to, because, you know, you can't just be out there by yourself. You're really sick. You know, even if you can't come back to Bismarck because you got the treatment, or because, you know, if you want back to Bismarck, the cancer's getting worse, like, that's cool, but like, can we come visit you? Or just people, maybe, are you okay? How are you doing? Checking on me, instead of getting quiet. And maybe when I talked about it, people, I mean, you want to talk about too much, of course, but like, if it wouldn't, you know, people would want to know what's going on, and it would be, you know, a healthy thing. But instead, I had a nervous breakdown. I lost my mind. I got really sick, and I was still really sick. And I lost almost everybody, everything, trying to fix it myself, and just, so it's not the same. And even people that like most people I knew about Bismarck are woke. Like, we know, we learn about mental illness, we maybe dealt with it ourselves. Like, we know that it's just like a physical ailment, and people need to be taken seriously, and the stigma is terrible, but that's all bullshit. That's all fucking talk. I remember after, like, I was literally clinically suicidally depressed for 6 to 8 months. I had suicidal ideation, and I told a couple of my close friends, and I think I mentioned it afterwards. I went online and tried talking about it, But that didn't even matter. Like, you can tell people that really, that you're just barely hanging on, and you still lose them because nobody knows what to do. You can, like, find this book that I found, a memoir that was like, oh my God, this is the closest I can get to explain to people what it's like. And I bought like 5 copies. Like, if anyone wants to read this, so they know, like, it's life and death, and like, I was like, wanted to kill myself, and like, does anyone want to read this? You just lose people. It's just bullshit. I watched this YouTube videos for a TED Talk, and this lady was talking about the stigma, and she said, like, just stop lying. And you guys gotta stop lying. You gotta stop saying, I'm gonna be there for that person, and then, like, be there for that person, because you all just lie. It's just lies. And I'm the same way. Like, by the way, I'm gonna say something. When my mom was dying, I remember after my mom died, and I was busy drinking myself to death, and like, it was not a good time in my life. One of my best friends, she'd been one of my best friends. I worked with her for years, and like, I was basically always my best friends, the people I worked with. Anyway, my friend Brenda called and told me she was dying. She had brain cancer. And I told her, I was drunk as hell, but I said, I'm going to come take care of you. I'm going to help. I'm going to take care of you. The last couple weeks, like, she's dying. I'm going to be there for you. And I never called her back. That is fucking terrible. And that's how I can speak for this. Like, I'm not perfect, but that's what it is. It's all bullshit. People talk about the stigma but the way that you're treated is completely different, and then it's still completely different, and people don't check on you, and it doesn't matter. I mean, maybe they check on some people. Maybe you're somebody that's always isolated, and you don't things, but like, you don't ask people for help, and you don't talk to people when things are really bad. You do the opposite. But when you tell people that, like, this is what it's bad. So basically, this past 4 years have been like, it's been getting worse or better. And I've been struggling, and I haven't, and it's just, I'm disappearing. It's like, I'm gonna just be, and past couple weeks, I've just thought about dying a lot, that it would be so much easier. But I won't leave my cat, and like, I wouldn't, like I have a roommate, like, I would never leave live in a house, like, someone where they'd have to deal with that, ever. But I'm so tired, I'm so scared still, and I'm not gonna get this treatment that I need here. It's just not happening, and I can't go anywhere else. I have the transportation, I have the means, but I'm just like, how easy it is. And I know that I moved away, and I'm not in Bismarck anymore, but at the same time, it's so scary for me, and it's so angry and sad. I know I'm talking to everybody on Facebook, like, everyone's responsible for me, but like, God, I wasn't that bad of a friend, was I? If I had just this whole time been like, the cancer thing instead, or some other really bad illness that could possibly terminal, I wouldn't have lost family. I wouldn't have just, like, less and less communication with people, and more crickets. And the thing is that you're supposed to talk about it. That's what's healthy, right? You're supposed to be open about it, and like, you're not, because if you do, you're weak. You're crazy. Like, it's not. People can say what they like, but it's all bullshit. It's all talk. It's different, and the more you talk about it and the more you bring it up, the less people want to have anything to do with you, and the easier it is for you to start disappearing. People don't want to hear the reality of it. They don't want to deal with it. So I was saying before, like, after this really dark time in my life that was completely different. It was like clinical, like a chemical depression. How I am now is not. But, and Anthony Bourdain died. It was on my birthday, and I was so. At first, that was hard for me, because he was a chef, but he was one of the only male chefs that loved me too. But like, he was a big deal for me. But also, it was like another, like, it doesn't matter. People, I see people, I see people on Facebook posting 800 numbers, and like, if you ever need to talk to somebody, like, I'm an ally. Like, if people need someone to talk to, I'm here. But no, people aren't. I mean, I'm not saying all people. The people, you can tell people, and they can know, and you can say, like, I have been this past 4 years, like, I'm this and that, I'm homeless, like, I can't work, I'm like selling my things online. And like, I've been in 2 car accidents. Like, my car got totaled, and that was an accident. Did anyone even ask me if I was physically okay? No. It's all bullshit. y'all gotta stop lying. Because I sat down and started writing this thing about it, where like, first I was like, if somebody really wants to, I said, people aren't gonna know, because if you're serious about it, you're not gonna tell people. But then I was like, it doesn't matter. I mean, maybe for Anthony Brady, but I was like, it doesn't, like, I just made me so angry to see all these like 800 numbers and like suicide hotlines and people like supporting it and like raising money for like, whatever, because that's not my experience. And I will tell you now, from this moment in time, I was in day treatment with these people, it's not isolated. You lose people. Everybody loses people. The sicker you get, if you get sick enough, mentally ill enough, you just lose everybody. It doesn't matter if you move away or not. And the funny thing is, like, when people are quiet, like if I'm quiet, like on like Facebook, like everyone, and then I could maybe like post some, like nature photos every couple months, or make a nice post, like people are like, oh, they love it, and like, oh, she must be doing good. Like then you're okay. But that's when I'm really, really bad. When I'm posting a lot, even if it's like talking about stuff, like depression, like how bad I'm doing, that's when I'm doing better, because I'm top. And actually, I'm not doing better today, but I must have at some point. I'm still mad, and I can't get past this. I don't know what I would have done, but like I would think, like, I have one person outside of one brand new, like, who's come to like just like ask me if they wanted me to come, if they wanted to, like, if they could come visit, or if I'd like a visit, or if I could use someone or even just check on me. I have one person that checks on me, and that's my aunt. And I will say, there's been people that tried to like talk to me on the phone, and like, and we kept in contact, and I'm the one that dropped off. And that's also true. Like, that's part of my sick. Like, that's literally one of my coping mechanisms for my trauma. Literally, is to not talk to people. And then I don't know how to talk to people. And like, I don't talk to people about things that are hard and like making big decisions with people, like, for real. It seems like, because I posted online, but like, I don't make big life decisions after talking to people. I just do it all myself. So people could say, well, I tried, but she just never messaged me back, or she never answered the phone. Yes, that's true, because that's literally part of my sick. I'm talking about people just messaging to ask, how are you doing? I hope I'm thinking of you. Like, are you okay? Like, when I was trying to ask for help or like talk to people, I always had this, and I guess this is part of my like my PTSD, my CPTSD, and also my like attachments from being a kid with my mom, who was clinically depressed and not really being treated and not well. That all the stuff that it comes together, like, it's normal for someone like me to have this like forever alone complex, because I always have had that, like, that nobody understands me, and I'm always going to be alone. I've never really been anything but alone, and I've been alone most of my adult life, alone. But even when I was with people, I was kind of alone, But when Bismarck, I remember, I told Mark, the guy that I moved to Montana for, I told him something. It's harder to tell people you're lonely. That's more like humiliating or really hard. That's the hardest thing in the world, to admit that you're lonely. It's the most shameful feeling. I'd be like, I have drinking problems. Like, no, I'm so lonely. I told him about how I go out of town a lot on the weekends, just go to Fargo, or why not stay for a night in a motel that I really shouldn't spend money on, like, just to get out of town, go by myself, because I was almost thinking about myself. And when I'd be coming back into town, I'd come over the hill or into the lights of Bismarck, and I'd be like, oh, that feeling like, oh, I'm home. Like, even if I was gone only a night or two, like my cats are there in my bed, and like, you're happy to be home. And then immediately thereafter, I started bawling, just sobbing, because especially after my dad died, there was nobody who even knew I was out of town, not in town, but like, there was nobody. I didn't have to check in with anybody to let them know I made it back okay. There wasn't anybody waiting or even wondering if didn't know I was out of town. And I, like, if it hadn't been for work, I could have gone weeks, a month sometimes. I could have, like, died in my apartment, and nobody would have known. And that's not like anybody's fault. Like, I isolated, but I thought that my life, I was 49 years old. Like, I thought I contributed more, and I was not. I was a person worthy of people caring and worrying about them. And that I would be saying, like, I'm almost homeless. I am not able to work. I am, like, so scared. I had to sell almost everything I own. I have most of my stuff still in Helen at this stray trans place. I have like no transportation to even get back to Bismarck. Like nothing. I lost everything and everybody. And that's bullshit. And that's where it's just so, it's just all talk. If it had been a physical ailment, it would have been night and day. And there's no way. I'm not expecting someone to come and save me, but like somebody would come visit, or like just like at Christmas time, maybe like check on me, like how you doing? Or it's like every year it gets quieter and quieter. But I lost family. My mom's entire side of the family, like they stopped talking to me, stopped messaging me, answering messages. That was like when I first moved to Billings, but again, like it's like they just completely disowned me. You know what? And I wasn't drinking and doing drugs. I keep finding stuff. I keep like screenshotting things. I go look in like the app for my the clinic, and like where she was talking about my percussive speech, like how my speech was altered, like I was so like all the things that maybe people thought were drugs or alcohol was me. Like my meds are just me, like being like psychotically, like that's psychotically mentally ill. Like that's what that was. When you're like, look it up, like really really sick. You talk even faster, and you don't make sense, and like you slur your words, or you're like they did like whatever. And I was like, I gotta show, I'm gonna keep posting and showing these to people so I can prove that I wasn't. You know what? It doesn't matter, and that's the thing. And it does though. It shouldn't matter that it's the same thing. It shouldn't matter if it was drugs or alcohol, like if I was doing that or not, and I wasn't. But I shouldn't even bring that up. It's because that's giving the stigma more room. Because it's the same with addiction, like. Because it's not the same. People don't treat it the same. Or, then there's different drugs that are different. Like alcohol, there's things that are more acceptable. But I mean, the more honest I was about things like that, I'd use meth to like, just like, and I told my doctor that, like, once in a while, like out of desperation, because my meds weren't enough. Like, people don't want you to be honest. And even if I had been, though, yeah, it shouldn't have made a difference. Like, that's still somebody who's not well and who's just trying coping and deserves care and worry. But at the same time, it's always going to bother me, because I could say, no, it wasn't to people. And I could say till I was blue in the face. And I guess right now, I don't think that's, people didn't believe me, because it's all I can figure. Because for some people, just have lost them completely. I don't know, but maybe that's easier for me than them to just have completely just me. Because I just can't move past it. I'm so just trying to imagine living your whole life and then like having something catastrophic happen where you're like so unwell, like where I don't know. I mean, like I'm to the point where like, what's the point of getting better anyway? What do I have? I have nowhere to go. I don't know if I can ever get hired for a job here again. Like, there's nowhere in Bismarck I'm like welcome. And it really isn't a healthy place for me in Bismarck. But like, what's the point? I swear to God, if I had cancer or something like that, there's no way people would let me be feeling like that. And I know it. Like I'm out here on my own, and it doesn't matter what happens to me anymore. Like I could just disappear, and everyone would just be like, okay, it's easier just not to think about her. Shame on everybody. Shame on me. I mean, I did the same thing to Brenda. Shame on everybody and just the whole fucking world. It's like racism. Where like it's in a certain way. Like we don't know, it's deep down and we don't even realize it. But it has to be something that people work on and educate themselves about, and people have to listen, and people have to like really like not lie, just like get honest with themselves about how they perceive people, even whatever they say, or like how they treat people with addiction or mental health problems or chronic illness or handicaps. Because it's bullshit. Because I know it's there. I have it. I have self stigma, but where we just have to like we have to just like be like, okay, this is terrible. People are dying because of this. They're committing suicide. People are like ending up like, homeless with mental illness problems, addiction, because they lose people, and people don't want to deal with it, or people, even if they don't realize it consciously, make it that person's problem. Or that person isn't getting themselves better. That person must not be doing something right. They must not be trying hard enough. And we look at them as weak, and we look at, I mean, it's our problem. It's just, and we just like, or we just don't want to think about it. And it's hard to face, but it's real. And people do die because of it. I mean, just what it does to a person when you can be as honest as I've been about how poor you're doing. And that, I mean, the longer you're bad and the worse things get, the less people, I mean, understand, like, that's really bad. Y'all gotta stop lying. We all gotta stop. It's not fair, and it's hurtful, and it's dangerous, and it's not right. I'm a human being, and I wasn't the best friend, but I deserve more than that. So everybody, I'm so, all bullshit. So make me stop lying. Okay. Like, I wanted to say more, and I wanted to keep this shorter, but it's pretty good for me. I tried doing one. I mean, I made one of these like a month ago, and it was like an hour and a half long. People know. You know. Stigma is there. It's real. It's bullshit. Anyone that says it's not is whatever. People need to face up to the fact that even if they're woke, and even if they know better, and even if they personally experienced that, letting other people to suicide, it's all bullshit, because it's just all bullshit. Because you lose people, and people just let you disappear. And it's hard enough when you're trying to remember who you are, when you're still fighting it, we don't remember what regular life is like. And I maybe would have been better by now, but I just kept this. I can't get past this. It doesn't matter if it was half my fault. It's still not right. When you don't want to deal with people, when you just don't know what to say, so you don't say anything, even though you know better, and you don't just check on people just to tell them you're thinking of them. You let them disappear. I mean, why do you think there's so many homeless people are mentally ill? There's problems because this is what happens. This is what happens. It's not like the oldest people didn't have anybody. It's not that. There's some people that didn't, but it's not that. It's because this happens to everybody that gets severely mentally ill. Straight across the board, I've met people, like everybody. Own your shit. Realize you've let people down, and you haven't believed people even though you thought you did, or you haven't listened to them, and you've let people that are very, very sick you just didn't want to deal with it, so you just didn't. And that affects people's lives, and it makes them sicker. And it makes them not want to talk to people about it. Just like addiction, and then you just get worse. And then when people are commit suicide or gone, like, people wonder what happened. Y'all know what happened.